Have you ever jacked in? Have you ever wire-tripped? No? A virgin brain. Well, we're gonna start you off right.
As you have heard from Liam Neeson...
I signed it Ray Fiennes.
As you have heard from Ralph Fiennes, let's get right to it, shall we? I'm not inviting you into a wire trip, as he said. This is different. This is just about a 30-year-old movie that holds up today as much as it did when it first came out. The movie Strange Days was released during the fall of the year 1995. It was directed by Kathryn Bigelow, the Oscar-winning filmmaker of The Hurt Locker. She has already made an impact with a few films, including the vampire western film Near Dark, Blue Steel, and the buddy crime movie Point Break. The idea for the film was originally envisioned in 1986 by James Cameron, the acclaimed director of Terminator.
I'll be back.
After many discussions about the plot and the characters, she was especially motivated to make the film when at the time there were ongoing social issues occurring, including the Lorena Bobbitt incident.
He did. I told you not to cry, and he slapped me in my face.
And the Los Angeles riots in 1992. She quoted saying, "I felt film was more politically correct, and I challenged myself to try to make something accessible using film, but with a conscience." The movie follows our protagonist Lenny Nero. He sells these virtual headsets he found from the black market called SQUID, which stands for Superconducting Quantum Interference Device. Virtual experience for users through recorded memories from other people. They can feel everything based off of these memories. People can be whoever they want to be.
Nah.
As he struggles to get by, the world around him goes through a complete political turmoil. One night, though, he was given a tape by someone unknown. Like a scene from a Brian De Palma film, he witnesses and feels a brutal murder of someone he knew. Someone who is somehow tied to a conspiracy. There is great action, great chase scenes, very unique use of cinematography, but when this movie hit the big screen, it only made $8 million at the box office against a $45 million budget. I mean, yeah, this film is far from perfect. There is a lot going on. Even I struggle to grasp everything all at once. The violence can also be quite extreme. Even after watching it for the first time, my feelings were mixed. I had nothing else to watch at that time. Weeks passed by, just doing my usual routine, and yet this film stayed in my head, and I thought, why? Well, first, the characters. The struggle of letting go of one's past, of guilt, of letting go of that girl that you loved, living in a fantasy that begins and ends only for it to repeat, to go on playback. And Mace is such a badass. I found it to be especially interesting seeing how this film takes a film noir approach and just reverse the roles completely. Mace feels more like the detective with the gun, which she does use, and Nero feels like the damsel in distress. I kind of found it funny actually, considering it reflects on their personalities. The themes of this film also are what stood out. The use of virtual reality is purely fictional. I mean, as far as I know, we haven't gotten to that level of immersion, at least not yet. But it couldn't be further from reality when we compare it to the use of smartphones. Just scrolling constantly, whether on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, seeing that friend getting married, getting that promotion, or keeping ourselves updated with celebrities who we probably will never meet. As I was doing research on this film, I found a quote by critic Travis Johnson from The Blunt magazine. He said, "We're a planet of voyeurs, living vicariously through the digitally captured experiences of other people we will never meet. Strange Days might have gotten the specific details wrong, but it was right on the money when it came to the vibe." With vast information, we see too much of what has been going on, issues that have been going on for so many years in the United States. Seeing the death of Jericho at the hands of two brutal cops was a quick recollection of the death of George Floyd in the year 2020.
Please, the name of Dick. I can't breathe shit.
Bro, get in the car, man.
A video went viral after his death on May 25th. Thousands of American citizens went to the streets to express their anger towards such actions. Derek Chauvin, who was responsible for his death, was pleaded guilty in 2021. But that didn't stop such violent occurrences taken in so many places across the country.
In widespread unrest not seen in decades, American cities from Seattle to Washington, D.C. burned as many peaceful protests during the day turned to rioting and destruction by night.
The George Floyd riots turned out to be even bigger than the Los Angeles riots back in the 1990s. It spread to the whole entire country, not just in Minneapolis. I'm not saying that someone as talented as Bigelow could have predicted something to this scale after the death of George Floyd, but the film comes awfully close, especially for what it shows.